Welcome to our channel. Today we learn about why living close to your children in old age could be the biggest mistake of your life. Stoicism. As we grow older, many of us believe that living close to our children will bring a sense of security, comfort, and connection. However, Stoic philosophy offers a different perspective on this deeply emotional decision. In this video, we'll explore why living too close to your children in your later years might not be the best path to independence, growth, or inner peace. Through the wisdom of Stoicism, we'll uncover how true strength comes from embracing solitude, self-reliance, and learning to let go, even when it feels counterintuitive. This is about preserving your own autonomy and respecting the natural course of relationships. Meet Mrs. Sophia, a vibrant woman in her later years, living alone but always close to her daughter, Emma, and her grandchildren. Sophia has always prioritized family, believing that staying near them is the best way to ensure their love and care. However, over time, she begins to notice that this arrangement comes with challenges, both emotionally and personally. Through her story, we'll explore 7 key lessons about the balance between family closeness and personal independence. The importance of boundaries. Mrs. Sophia loved being around her daughter and grandchildren, but soon she noticed that her constant presence made her feel like she was intruding. Lesson: setting boundaries is crucial. Even with family, too much closeness can blur the lines between personal space and shared responsibilities. Overdependence breeds resentment. Sophia often found herself asking Emma for small favors, assuming it was easier since they lived so close. However, she soon realized that Emma felt overwhelmed, juggling her responsibilities while also taking care of her mother. Lesson: relying too much on family can unintentionally create strain and lead to resentment over time. Loss of autonomy. As the months went by, Mrs. Sophia began to notice that her decision to live near her daughter was slowly eroding her sense of independence. Every decision, big or small, was now influenced by Emma and her family's schedule. Lesson: proximity to loved ones can sometimes lead to a loss of autonomy and the ability to live life on your own terms. Family dynamics can become complicated. Emma adored her mother, but Sophia's constant presence made it harder to maintain a healthy dynamic with her own family. Her children, while loving their grandmother, began feeling that their home was no longer their own. Lesson: being physically close can complicate family dynamics, causing friction even in the most loving relationships. The silent guilt of being a burden. Though no one said it outright, Mrs. Sophia began feeling guilty for depending on her daughter for companionship and help. She worried that her presence was becoming a burden, something that strained her emotionally. Lesson: living close to family in old age can lead to feelings of guilt, especially when you sense that your needs might weigh heavily on others. Distance fosters growth and independence. After some reflection, Mrs. Sophia decided to move a bit farther from her daughter's home, giving both herself and Emma space to breathe. Surprisingly, this brought them closer emotionally, as each learned to cherish their time together more. Lesson: sometimes distance fosters healthier relationships, allowing both parties to grow and maintain independence. Legacy is more than physical presence. Mrs. Sophia realized that her legacy wasn't in how often she saw her daughter and grandchildren, but in the wisdom, love, and values she passed down. Her physical presence wasn't the only way to leave an impact. Lesson: the most meaningful legacies come from the lessons and love we impart, not from constant proximity. Mrs. Sophia's story teaches us that while staying close to family feels like the natural choice, it's important to maintain independence and boundaries. As we age, it's vital to foster personal growth, respect others' space, and remember that true connection doesn't require physical closeness. Through this balance, both the elderly and their families can thrive. At first, when Mrs. Sophia moved close to her daughter Emma, everything seemed perfect. It was the family honeymoon phase where everyone was excited, and the arrangement felt ideal. Mrs. Sophia was thrilled to be near her grandchildren, and Emma appreciated having her mother close for support. But like many things, this honeymoon phase didn't last forever. Through this story, we'll explore what happens when the initial excitement fades and the real challenges of living too close to family emerge. The illusion of perfect harmony. In the beginning, Sophia, Emma, and the grandchildren were always together. Weekend visits, shared meals, and constant interactions. Everything felt seamless. Lesson: the family honeymoon often creates an illusion that living in close proximity will always be harmonious. It's important to recognize that this phase is temporary. Increased time. Together feels like a blessing. During this period, Sophia found joy in spending more time with her family, attending school events, and being part of her grandchildren's daily lives. It felt like she had gained a second youth through their energy. Lesson: at first, being close to family can feel like a gift, providing you with more opportunities to share in their lives and experiences. The comfort of support. Emma and her husband were grateful to have Sophia nearby. She could help with the kids, offer advice, and provide extra hands when things got busy. Lesson: the initial closeness often feels supportive and helpful, as it strengthens family bonds and relieves some daily burdens. Grandchildren's affection and energy. Sophia's grandchildren were delighted to have their grandmother around all the time. They adored her stories, loved visiting her house, and felt safe knowing she was nearby. Lesson: the honeymoon phase is often fueled by the excitement of the younger generation, who benefit from the extra love and attention that comes with their grandparents' presence. Overlooking minor conflicts. During this period, Sophia and Emma would brush aside small disagreements or miscommunications. The joy of being together overshadowed any tension. Lesson: in the honeymoon phase, minor issues are often ignored or downplayed, as the initial excitement makes everything seem perfect. Feeling fulfilled and needed. Mrs. Sophia felt an immense sense of purpose being so close to her daughter's family. She enjoyed being needed, and Emma loved having her mother's wisdom and help nearby. In the early stages, proximity can give a sense of fulfillment, making the elderly feel valued and appreciated. The comfort of routine. As time passed, this new family routine began to feel like the new normal. Sophia was integrated into their daily lives, and the predictability of it all brought comfort. Lesson: the family honeymoon phase often establishes new routines that, while comforting, may not always remain sustainable over the long term. The family honeymoon is a beautiful phase where everything feels aligned, and the benefits of being close seem endless. However, it's important to remember that this phase won't last forever. As the initial excitement fades, deeper challenges emerge. Understanding this transition can help families manage their expectations and prepare for the eventual adjustments that come with living close to one another. In the modern world, many grandparents, especially grandmothers, often find themselves silently transitioning into the role of unpaid nannies. While it can be rewarding to support the family, it may also lead to emotional and physical burdens. From a Stoic perspective, it is essential to recognize the boundaries of duty and self-care while embracing this transformation with wisdom, patience, and resilience. Stoicism teaches us how to maintain inner peace and balance in these complex roles, ensuring that while we serve, we also protect our own well-being. Understand your role and its boundaries. Stoicism emphasizes clarity of thought and responsibility. Acknowledge that while you may want to help, there are limits to what you can offer without overextending yourself. Define your role based on realistic commitments, ensuring it aligns with your own needs and values. Practice voluntary discomfort. The shift from grandmother to nanny can bring discomfort, especially if it feels unappreciated. Practicing voluntary discomfort, a Stoic exercise, helps prepare for the emotional challenges of sacrifice. This prepares you to face moments of strain with composure. Focus on what you can control. You cannot control the expectations placed on you or the demands from others, but you can control your response. Stay calm and centered by focusing on your actions and reactions rather than external pressures. Balance duty with self-care. Being of service to your family is noble, but Stoicism reminds us that caring for ourselves is equally important. Ensure that your time as a caregiver doesn't overshadow your own needs for rest, hobbies, or solitude. Seek balance in your contributions. Embrace patience and endurance. Grandparenting, especially in the unpaid nanny role, requires immense patience. Embrace this virtue by viewing each moment as an opportunity to grow in patience and endurance. This mindset can help you remain calm in the face of exhaustion or frustration. Communicate clearly and respectfully. Stoicism encourages clear communication without anger or frustration. If you find the responsibilities becoming overwhelming, calmly communicate your boundaries and limitations to your family. Doing so maintains both your dignity and the respect of others. Reflect on the purpose of your actions. Stoics emphasize living in accordance with purpose and virtue. Reflect on why you're stepping into this role. The love for your family, the desire to support them, and the opportunity to impart wisdom to the next generation. Keeping this purpose in mind helps find meaning in the challenges. As a grandmother transforming into an unpaid nanny, Stoicism provides a framework for maintaining inner peace, balance, and purpose. Through self-awareness, setting boundaries, and embracing the virtues of patience and resilience, you can navigate this role with dignity and wisdom while still honoring your own needs. Living together with a partner or loved one can be a beautiful experience, but it can also introduce unforeseen challenges. When love, which is supposed to bring joy and fulfillment, begins to feel like a burden, it can lead to frustration, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. From a Stoic perspective, love is not about attachment or control, but about accepting and navigating the complexities of relationships with wisdom, patience, and self-awareness. Stoicism offers valuable insights to help individuals deal with the emotional weight that can come with close living arrangements. Recognize the nature of love as impermanent. Stoicism teaches us that all things, including love, are transient. While living together, love may change its form over time, from passion to companionship, or even to resentment. By accepting that love evolves, you can reduce the emotional strain of unmet expectations. Detach from idealized expectations. Often, love becomes burdensome when we cling to unrealistic expectations of what it should look like. Detach from the idealized version of your relationship and instead embrace the reality of it. Accept your partner for who they are, not who you wish them to be. Focus on what you can control. You cannot control your partner's actions, emotions, or habits. Stoicism emphasizes focusing on what is within your control, your own reactions, thoughts, and behavior. When love feels heavy, refocus on how you can maintain your own inner peace, rather than trying to change the other person. Practice compassion and empathy. When living with someone, their flaws can become magnified, and love can feel more like a burden than a joy. However, by practicing compassion and empathy, as the Stoics advise, you can soften the weight of disappointment and learn to see things from their perspective. Set healthy boundaries. Love doesn't mean sacrificing all of yourself for the other person. Stoicism encourages balance and moderation. By setting healthy emotional and physical boundaries, you prevent love from overwhelming your sense of self and ensure that your relationship remains balanced and harmonious. Embrace mutual growth. Living together offers countless opportunities for growth, both individually and as a couple. When love feels like a burden, use it as a chance to reflect on how both of you can grow from the experience. Stoicism encourages viewing difficulties as lessons in resilience, patience, and self-improvement. Reflect on the purpose of your relationship. Stoics emphasize purpose and virtue in all actions. Ask yourself what the purpose of your relationship is. Are you in it for genuine love and companionship? Or are you holding on due to obligation or fear of being alone? Aligning your relationship with a higher purpose can alleviate the feeling of burden. Living together can test the strength of love, sometimes turning it into a heavy emotional weight. However, Stoicism offers timeless wisdom for navigating these challenges. By accepting the impermanent nature of love, focusing on what you can control, and setting healthy boundaries, you can transform the burden into an opportunity for mutual growth and understanding. Through patience, reflection, and empathy, love can remain a source of joy, even in its most challenging moments. Sometimes, in the midst of life's chaos, we encounter moments of profound clarity, often through the words of a wise friend. Such advice, seemingly simple, can open our minds to new perspectives and deeper understanding. Stoicism emphasizes the value of wisdom, often found in unexpected places. The counsel of a wise friend can serve as a guiding light, offering clarity in confusion and serenity in times of emotional turbulence. Listen with an open mind. Stoicism teaches us that wisdom can come from anyone, and being receptive to advice is a virtue. When a wise friend offers their insight, listen with an open mind and heart. Avoid the ego's temptation to reject advice, even if it is not what you want to hear. Accept hard truths with grace. Sometimes the most valuable advice is the hardest to accept. A wise friend may reveal truths about your situation or behavior that are uncomfortable. Stoics encourage accepting these truths without defensiveness, understanding that growth often comes from acknowledging difficult realities. Reflect before reacting. Stoic philosophy stresses the importance of reflection before action. After receiving advice, take time to reflect on it rather than reacting impulsively. Consider how it applies to your life and how it aligns with your values and beliefs before making any decisions. Detach from ego and pride. Pride can prevent us from accepting advice, especially when it challenges our existing views. Stoicism teaches the importance of humility. Detaching from ego allows you to fully absorb the wisdom of your friend without feeling threatened or diminished. Embrace change and growth. The advice from a wise friend may point to areas in your life that require change. Rather than resisting this, Stoicism encourages embracing change as part of growth. Use their guidance as a stepping stone to become a better version of yourself, evolving through the insights they provide. Focus on what you can control. Stoics emphasize focusing on what is within our control. A wise friend may highlight external challenges or internal struggles you face. While you cannot control everything, you can control your thoughts, attitudes, and actions. Apply their advice in a way that empowers your ability to respond wisely to life's challenges. Be grateful for the wisdom of others. Gratitude is a central Stoic virtue. Appreciate the wisdom your friend shares, as they are offering something valuable that could positively impact your life. Recognize that such advice, given with care, is a gift meant to help you navigate life's difficulties with greater clarity and resilience. The advice of a wise friend can often serve as a powerful revelation, awakening new insights and helping you navigate life's challenges. Stoicism encourages humility, reflection, and gratitude when receiving such guidance. By applying these principles, you can turn unexpected revelations into transformative moments, using wisdom to grow stronger and wiser in the face of adversity. In a world where interdependence is often encouraged, it's easy to lose sight of the immense value of personal independence. Relying too heavily on others for emotional, financial, or social support can gradually erode your sense of self and lead to feelings of dependency and helplessness. The Stoic philosophy teaches the importance of self-reliance, resilience, and inner strength. Rediscovering the value of independence is an awakening, a return to your true power, where you learn to rely on your own abilities and wisdom to navigate life's challenges. Recognize your inner strength. Independence begins with recognizing that you have the strength within to handle whatever life throws at you. Stoicism teaches that true power comes from within, and that external circumstances do not define you. Reawakening this sense of inner strength is key to regaining independence. Detach from external validation. Often, our dependence comes from seeking validation or approval from others. Stoicism encourages focusing on your own values and not being swayed by others' opinions. When you stop looking for validation from the outside, you start to rediscover the value of being content with yourself. Take responsibility for your actions. Independence comes with the acceptance of personal responsibility. Stoics teach that we are responsible for our own thoughts and actions, regardless of what happens around us. Embracing this responsibility allows you to take control of your life and choices, reinforcing your autonomy. Cultivate self-sufficiency. In rediscovering independence, it's important to develop skills that allow you to rely on yourself. Whether it's financial independence, emotional resilience, or intellectual autonomy, Stoicism emphasizes the need to be self-sufficient. This practice not only builds confidence but also ensures you are not vulnerable to the whims of others. Free yourself from attachment. Attachments to people, possessions, or outcomes can lead to dependence. Stoics advocate for the practice of non-attachment, appreciating things and people without clinging to them. This doesn't mean isolation, but rather understanding that true freedom comes from within, not from external sources. Focus on what you can control. One of the central tenets of Stoicism is the distinction between what you can and cannot control. When you focus solely on what is within your control, your thoughts, actions, and decisions, you take ownership of your life. This empowerment is the essence of independence. Embrace solitude and reflection. In a world full of distractions and constant interaction, solitude can be a powerful tool for rediscovering independence. Stoicism values periods of reflection and introspection, where you can reconnect with your inner self and strengthen your personal resolve. Embrace moments of solitude as opportunities to cultivate self-awareness and personal growth. Rediscovering the value of independence is an awakening that brings you back to your core self, strong, capable, and self-sufficient. Stoicism teaches that independence is not about rejecting others, but about cultivating inner strength, taking responsibility for your life, and focusing on what you can control. By embracing these principles, you regain your autonomy and find empowerment in living a life true to your own values and abilities. Conversations that challenge the status quo are never easy, especially when they involve breaking a cycle of dependency, whether emotional, financial, or otherwise. Dependency often forms gradually, creating a sense of security that can be hard to let go of, but over time it can erode one's sense of autonomy and lead to feelings of resentment or helplessness. Stoicism provides the tools to face difficult conversations with courage, clarity, and compassion. By addressing dependency head-on, you can foster healthier relationships and restore balance in your life. Prepare with clarity and purpose. Stoicism emphasizes rational thought and preparation. Before engaging in a difficult conversation, take time to reflect on your purpose. What are you seeking to achieve by breaking this cycle of dependency? Approach the conversation with clear intentions and focus on long-term benefits rather than temporary discomfort. Stay calm and emotionally balanced. Emotional balance is key in difficult conversations. Stoicism teaches the importance of maintaining calm, even in challenging situations. Don't allow frustration or fear to cloud your message. By remaining composed, you can communicate more effectively and ensure that your message is heard without unnecessary conflict. Use honest and direct communication. One of the central teachings of Stoicism is to speak truthfully and clearly. When breaking the cycle of dependency, avoid vague language or sugarcoating. Be honest about the issue, whether it's financial over-reliance, emotional dependence, or unhealthy patterns. Direct communication shows respect for both yourself and the other person. Acknowledge the emotional impact. Breaking dependency can be emotionally charged. Acknowledge the emotional weight of the conversation, both for yourself and the other person. Stoicism doesn't mean ignoring emotions, but rather managing them with wisdom. Showing empathy and understanding will help ease the transition while still holding firm to your message. Establish boundaries with compassion. Setting boundaries is crucial in breaking dependency. Stoics encourage moderation and balance in all relationships. While it's important to communicate your limits, do so with compassion. Explain why these boundaries are necessary for both parties to grow and maintain a healthy dynamic. Emphasize personal responsibility. Stoicism teaches that each individual is responsible for their own actions, thoughts, and emotions. In the conversation, reinforce the importance of personal responsibility for both yourself and the other person. Encourage them to take ownership of their lives while affirming your own commitment to self-reliance. Accept the outcome with grace. You cannot control how others will react to the conversation, but you can control your own response. Stoicism teaches the importance of accepting outcomes with equanimity. Whether the conversation leads to mutual understanding or tension, remain steadfast in your decision to break the cycle of dependency, knowing it is the right step toward growth and autonomy. Breaking the cycle of dependency is not an easy process, but it is a necessary one for cultivating autonomy and healthy relationships. By approaching the conversation with clarity, emotional balance, and compassion, you can set the stage for positive change. Stoicism provides the mindset needed to handle the discomfort of difficult conversations, helping you remain grounded and focused on your long-term well-being. Through direct communication and the establishment of boundaries, you can break free from dependency and foster growth for both yourself and those around you. Life is filled with transitions, and with each new chapter, we are given an opportunity for rebirth, a fresh start that allows us to redefine ourselves and grow. Mrs. Sophia's story is one of transformation, of letting go of the past and embracing the future with newfound clarity and purpose. Stoicism teaches that change is inevitable, and instead of resisting it, we should meet it with courage and wisdom. Mrs. Sophia's rebirth symbolizes the Stoic ideal of facing life's challenges with grace, accepting what is beyond our control, and focusing on what we can change. Embrace change with openness. Mrs. Sophia's new chapter began when she accepted that change is a natural part of life. Stoicism teaches us not to fear change, but to welcome it as an opportunity for growth. By adopting an open mind, Mrs. Sophia was able to let go of her old life and step into the unknown with confidence. Let go of the past. One of the key principles of Stoicism is learning to detach from the past. Mrs. Sophia understood that clinging to her old identity or past experiences would prevent her from moving forward. She practiced the Stoic art of letting go, freeing herself from regret, guilt, or nostalgia to fully embrace her rebirth. Focus on what you can control. In her new chapter, Mrs. Sophia realized that worrying about what she couldn't control only caused unnecessary suffering. Stoics emphasize focusing on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. By applying this wisdom, she channeled her energy into what she could influence, empowering her to rebuild her life. Find purpose in the present rebirth often requires redefining one's purpose. Mrs. Sophia discovered that purpose lies not in external achievements or societal roles, but in how she chooses to live each day. Inspired by Stoicism, she focused on finding meaning in the present, whether through small acts of kindness, personal growth, or simply living virtuously. Cultivate inner strength. Throughout her journey, Mrs. Sophia learned that real strength comes from within. Stoicism teaches us to develop resilience by facing hardships without complaint. Mrs. Sophia's rebirth was not without challenges, but by cultivating inner strength, she found the courage to confront her fears and overcome obstacles with grace. Accept life's impermanence. A Stoic understands that everything in life is temporary, from our possessions to our relationships. Mrs. Sophia came to terms with the impermanence of life, realizing that every ending is also a beginning. This acceptance allowed her to approach the future without fear, knowing that change is constant and inevitable. Live in alignment with your values. Mrs. Sophia's rebirth was guided by her commitment to living in accordance with her core values. Stoicism teaches that happiness comes from living virtuously and in harmony with your principles. By staying true to herself, Mrs. Sophia was able to create a life that reflected her deepest values, finding peace and fulfillment in her new chapter. Mrs. Sophia's rebirth is a testament to the Stoic ideals of resilience, acceptance, and inner strength. Her journey of transformation, from letting go of the past to embracing her new chapter, reflects the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. By focusing on what she could control, living in the present, and aligning her life with her values, she found the courage to navigate life's uncertainties and welcome change as a path to growth. In every ending there is a new beginning, and Mrs. Sophia's story reminds us that with each new chapter, we are given the chance to be reborn, stronger, and wiser. In relationships, distance is often seen as a challenge, something that tests the strength of bonds. However, there's a paradox within this notion. Distance, rather than weakening love, can actually strengthen it. Through absence, we gain a deeper appreciation for those we care about. This paradox aligns with Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes detachment, self-reliance, and understanding the value of what we have only after stepping away. By embracing the Stoic mindset, we can see that distance offers a unique opportunity for personal growth and the strengthening of emotional connections. Appreciation through absence. As the saying goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Stoicism teaches us to value what we have without becoming overly attached to it. Distance allows you to reflect on your partner's importance in your life and appreciate their qualities more fully, something that's often taken for granted when you're constantly together. Fostering independence. One of the key teachings of Stoicism is self-reliance. Distance encourages each partner to develop independence, fostering personal growth. In healthy relationships, love is not about dependency but mutual support. By embracing the space between, both individuals can focus on their own growth, making the bond stronger when they reunite. Strengthening communication. Distance often forces couples to rely more on communication, whether through letters, calls, or messages. In the absence of physical proximity, the emotional connection is deepened through intentional, meaningful communication. Stoicism encourages clarity and honesty in our interactions, and distance can be a powerful teacher of this lesson, cultivating a deeper understanding between partners. Detachment without indifference. Stoicism teaches the concept of detachment, but not in the sense of coldness or indifference. Instead, it's about maintaining inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. In a relationship, practicing detachment during periods of separation means loving someone without clinging or possessing, which paradoxically strengthens the relationship as it becomes less about control and more about trust and respect. Perspective on time and space. Stoics often remind us that time and space are out of our control. Distance in a relationship is just another factor that we cannot fully manage. By accepting this Stoic principle, we learn to embrace distance as a natural part of life, rather than a barrier. Understanding that time apart is temporary allows the bond to deepen, knowing that true connection transcends mere proximity. Reframing the challenge. Instead of seeing distance as a weakness or a burden, Stoicism invites us to reframe the challenge as an opportunity. Love grows not in ease but in overcoming adversity. The distance becomes a test of the strength and resilience of the relationship. Each challenge faced strengthens the bond further, proving the depth of the connection. The joy of reunion Stoicism encourages us to find joy in simple moments and not to take anything for granted. After enduring the time apart, the reunion becomes even more meaningful. Distance amplifies the joy of being together again, bringing a renewed sense of appreciation and gratitude, reminding both partners of the strength and depth of their bond. The paradox of love, as Stoicism reveals, is that distance, something that seems to pull people apart, can in fact bring them closer together. Through absence, couples find greater appreciation, deeper communication, and a strengthened sense of independence. By reframing the challenge of separation and embracing Stoic principles of self-reliance, detachment, and gratitude, love can thrive despite, or even because of, the distance. In this way, what seems like a hardship transforms into a source of growth, strengthening bonds in ways proximity alone never could. Life is a constant balancing act between extremes: work and rest, desire and restraint, action and reflection. Stoicism teaches us that the key to happiness and inner peace lies not in indulging in excess or avoiding challenges, but in finding the middle ground. The wisdom of balance allows us to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and resilience. By embracing moderation in all things, we cultivate a sense of harmony that benefits both our inner lives and our relationships with the world around us. Moderation as the path to virtue. Stoicism teaches that virtue lies in moderation. Excess in any form, whether it be pleasure, ambition, or even asceticism, leads to imbalance. By practicing temperance, we avoid being swayed by extreme emotions or desires, allowing us to maintain a steady and virtuous life. Balancing action and reflection. While Stoicism emphasizes taking purposeful action, it also values the importance of reflection. Wisdom comes from knowing when to act and when to pause. Finding the balance between doing and thinking allows us to make better decisions, ensuring that our actions are aligned with our values. Emotional balance. Neither suppression nor indulgence. Stoicism doesn't advocate for the suppression of emotions, but encourages mastering them. It teaches that true wisdom lies in feeling emotions without being overwhelmed by them. By finding emotional balance, we can experience joy, sadness, or anger without letting them control our behavior, thereby maintaining inner peace. Work-life balance. Avoiding burnout. The pursuit of success often leads to overwork and neglect of personal well-being. Stoicism encourages balance in all areas of life, including work and rest. By setting boundaries and understanding the limits of our energy, we avoid burnout and maintain a sense of fulfillment both in our professional and personal lives. Balancing control and acceptance. Stoics believe in focusing only on what we can control and accepting what we cannot. The wisdom of balance lies in understanding this distinction. By accepting life's uncertainties while still striving to improve what we can, we find peace in the ebb and flow of life. The middle ground between desire and contentment. Stoicism teaches that contentment does not come from eliminating desires, but from mastering them. Finding the middle ground means acknowledging our desires without letting them dictate our happiness. By tempering our cravings and appreciating what we already have, we foster a deeper sense of fulfillment. Balancing self-interest and altruism. Life often presents the challenge of balancing self-care with the care of others. Stoicism encourages us to contribute to society and help others, but not at the expense of our well-being. The key is to find the middle ground where we can nurture both ourselves and those around us, creating a harmonious balance between self-interest and altruism. The wisdom of balance is at the heart of Stoic philosophy, guiding us toward a life of harmony and purpose. By finding the middle ground in every aspect of life, whether in emotions, actions, desires, or relationships, we cultivate a sense of inner peace and resilience. Stoicism teaches us that moderation is the path to virtue, and by embracing balance, we can lead a fulfilling and meaningful life, free from the extremes that cause suffering and distress. The pursuit of balance, as the Stoics understood, is the pursuit of wisdom itself. Mrs. Sophia's life was a testament to the delicate balance between self-love and family devotion. Throughout her journey, she faced the challenges of giving without losing herself, of nurturing her family while also tending to her own growth and well-being. Stoicism teaches that true love for others begins with self-love, an essential foundation that allows us to give from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Mrs. Sophia's legacy reminds us of the importance of this balance, offering timeless lessons on how to love ourselves while deeply caring for those we cherish. Self-love as the foundation of family care. Mrs. Sophia understood that caring for her family required first taking care of herself. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of nurturing the self so that one can effectively care for others. By practicing self-love, she was able to serve her family with greater patience, wisdom, and strength. Setting boundaries with love. One of the most important lessons Mrs. Sophia taught was the power of setting boundaries. In Stoicism, boundaries are not about exclusion, but about maintaining harmony. Mrs. Sophia showed that by establishing clear limits, she could protect her own well-being while ensuring that her family relationships remained healthy and balanced. Giving from a place of abundant stoicism teaches that we should give freely, but only when we are in a position to do so. Mrs. Sophia's life demonstrated this principle. She gave to her family from a place of inner abundance, knowing that self-sacrifice without replenishment leads to burnout. Her self-love allowed her to give more fully and generously, without losing herself in the process. Practicing acceptance and letting go. Mrs. Sophia embraced the Stoic practice of accepting what she could not control, including the choices and lives of her family members. She knew that her role was to guide, not to dictate. By letting go of attachment to outcomes, she found peace in knowing that her love and guidance were enough, even if her family made their own decisions. Balancing personal growth with family responsibility. Stoicism teaches that personal growth should never be neglected, even in the face of family responsibilities. Mrs. Sophia never stopped learning, evolving, or pursuing her own passions. She believed that by continuously growing as an individual, she could be a better mother, grandmother, and partner, enriching the lives of her loved ones through her own example. Leading by example. The power of silent wisdom. Mrs. Sophia's legacy included her ability to lead by example. Stoicism values quiet strength and wisdom over grand gestures or words. She demonstrated the principles of Stoicism, resilience, inner calm, and virtue, through her actions, teaching her family the value of self-respect and self-love by embodying these ideals every day. The legacy of love. A family built on mutual respect. Mrs. Sophia's greatest legacy was the love and respect she cultivated within her family. Her balanced approach to self-love and care for her family created an environment where everyone felt valued, supported, and empowered. Her example showed that the strongest families are built not on self-sacrifice, but on mutual respect, where each individual's needs are honored alongside the collective well-being. Mrs. Sophia's life offers profound lessons in the Stoic balance between self-love and devotion to family. Her legacy reminds us that to truly love others, we must first love and care for ourselves. By setting boundaries, practicing acceptance, and continuing to grow as individuals, we can offer our families the best version of ourselves. Mrs. Sophia's wisdom teaches that love is not a matter of losing oneself, but of finding a way to give generously while staying grounded in one's own values and well-being. This balance is her enduring gift to her family and to us all. Living close to your children in old age might seem like a comforting choice, but from a Stoic perspective, it's worth examining whether this decision could inadvertently lead to unintended consequences. While proximity can offer emotional support and practical assistance, it can also create dependency, limit personal freedom, and disrupt the balance of relationships. Stoicism, with its focus on self-sufficiency, inner peace, and balanced relationships, provides a framework for understanding why maintaining a degree of independence might be a more fulfilling and wise approach. The importance of autonomy. Stoicism teaches the value of personal autonomy and self-sufficiency. Relying too heavily on your children for support can undermine your sense of independence and self-reliance. Emphasize how maintaining autonomy contributes to a sense of purpose and personal dignity in old age. Potential for strained relationships. Living close to your children can blur boundaries and lead to unintended conflicts. Stoic principles highlight the importance of maintaining healthy boundaries to preserve harmonious relationships. Discuss how proximity might increase the risk of dependency or create friction in the parent-child dynamic. Embracing change and adaptation. Stoicism encourages adaptability and acceptance of life's changes. Emphasize that old age is a time for adapting to new circumstances, and that maintaining some physical and emotional distance from your children can foster resilience and personal growth. Balancing family and personal space. While family support is valuable, maintaining your own space and interests is crucial. Discuss how Stoic philosophy supports the idea of balancing familial connections with personal space to ensure a fulfilling and autonomous life. The value of self-sufficiency. Highlight the Stoic virtue of self-sufficiency. Discuss how living independently, even if it means some distance from your children, can promote self-reliance and mental well-being, aligning with Stoic values. Avoiding unnecessary burdens. Living too close to your children might inadvertently place emotional or practical burdens on them. Stoicism advises against imposing undue burdens on others. Reflect on how maintaining some independence can prevent creating undue stress for your family. Reflecting on personal values and goals. Encourage viewers to reflect on their own values and goals. Stoicism emphasizes living in accordance with one's values. Consider whether living close to your children aligns with your own values of independence, self-respect, and personal fulfillment. Closing thought. In conclusion, while living close to your children might seem like a comforting option, it's essential to weigh it against the principles of Stoicism, which advocate for autonomy, balanced relationships, and self-sufficiency. By considering these Stoic principles, you can make a more informed decision that respects both your own needs and the dynamics of your family relationships, ultimately leading to a more harmonious and fulfilling life in old age.